Greetings everybody. My name is Enveri Sufi. I work in the Institute for Organic Agriculture in Albania. The title of presentation for today is Plant Protection Principles in Organic Agriculture. This is the second part. In the first presentation, with the same title, are discussed three elements: selection of cultivation place, selection of cultivars, healthy seed and seedlings free from diseases and insect pests. In the second part of the presentation, we will focus on following elements: plant nutrition, plant rotation, hygiene of environment inside the parcel and outside the parcels, biodiversity as a part of plant protection including mixed crops, water in the soil and insect pests and diseases, buffer zone as a part of plant protection strategy in organic agriculture. Plant rotation. It is one of the most important agricultural practices with big economic and ecologic impact. Not only scientific people and experts of agriculture, but the producer, farmers, with a long tradition in agriculture, are convinced for importance of plant rotation philosophy. Has so much better examples and better events in the cases when and where plant rotation programs are underestimated. For example, nematodes in sugar beet and potatoes, planted for many years in the same parcels, have destroyed the production in catastrophic level. Nematode and diseases has destroyed the sugar industry too. Why plant rotation is so important? Plants have different preferences for nutrients, for water. Plants have different insect pests and diseases and weeds. Different plants have a different type of roots. Some plants has fibrous root system that develop under the ground more or less in horizontal form. They absorb nutrients from 20-25 centimeters deep. Some other plants have deep root system and uptake the nutrients more than 30 centimeters deep. In following examples, I will bring some arguments what happens with insect diseases and weeds if we plant the wheat in the same parcels for 2 or more seasons, and what happens if we after wheat grows corn, sunflower or another crops. Some farmers do not understand the agronomic and the economic value of plant rotation. Some farmers are oriented only to economic profit and have cultivated only those crops that have good prices in the market and have difficult to change the strategy. Some farmers have small quantity of surfaces of the land and have limited alternative to implement a plant rotation program. For example, in Balkan conditions, majority of the farmers have 0.5 to 1 hectare of greenhouses. They produce as a first production tomatoes and the second production produce a cucumber. The second production is from August to December. Tomatoes and cucumber have more or less the same insect pests and diseases, and in such conditions the cultivation has high cost. Need more chemical treatments treatments and fertilizer. Cost of production and environment is increased too. For that reason, organic agriculture standard ask for plant rotation program. We have here one example. We have planted here parcel number 1 wheat 2019, and in 2020 again we have planted the wheat. What's happened? We have potential parasite and the possibility for infection. 2019 we have wheat aphids. It's possible to have again aphids in 2020. Cereal bug is possible to have again. The cereal leaf beetle, Olemia melanopus, yes, is possible to have again. Soil insect, if you plant again the wheat in 2020, we have possibility to have the soil insect. If we have the Ophiurobolus graminis, it's a disease in the wheat. Of course, possibility to have again Ophiurobolus graminis in 2020 is present. But if we plant the corn 2021, the aphids, okay, we have some aphids. But cereal bugs we have no. Olemia melanopus we have no. Soil insects, of course, we have some of them. Ophiurobolus graminis we have no. If we continue, for example, with oidium or Rhiziphus graminis, possibility for 2020 is yes. Possibility from if you planted the corn next year is no. Septoria trittici, yes and no. Ustilago in wheat, Ustilago trittici, yes, no. Fusarium graminerum or Fusarium oxosporum, yes, in the corn, no. Tiliete trittici, yes, in the wheat, in the corn, no. Weeds monocotyledon, yes, and in the corn we could have the partly infection weeds. As we see in the table, if we grow the wheat after wheat in the same parcel, infection possibility for next year is almost 100%. If we change the crops, instead the wheat we grow the corn, infection possibility of the corn from diseases and insects of the wheat is about 30 or 70% less if we grow wheat after wheat. Another example is if we grow tomatoes in the same parcel, we will have the same problems as in the case when we plant wheat after wheat. Such kind of examples perhaps everybody has seen in the practice, but not always we respect this conclusion. For example, if we next year change after tomatoes grow cabbage, salad, carrot, leek, etc., have possibility to avoid the bad impact from insect and diseases of tomatoes to this group of vegetables that are from another botanic family. In this scheme below, we present one from many plant rotation schemes. Yeah, for example, we could have such scheme: the salad, the broccoli, the carrot, the tomatoes. After the tomatoes, the cereal. After the cereal, the legume. After legume, the root vegetable, onion, cucurbitaceae, familia, etc. in this scheme of plant rotation, it's possible to avoid the negative elements, negative impact of monoculture. Another element that has to do with health of the plants are the balance, the equilibrium between macro and micro elements on the soil and on the plants. Balance of macro and micro elements, what plants need, are an important element to have a healthy and resistant plant. If in the soil or in the plant has sufficiency of nitrogen, the plant are susceptible, are sensible to diseases. High concentration of protein in cells of the plants stimulate the increasing of population of aphids, spidermite, cicada, scales, etc. Fungus diseases prefer such substrate in the cells of the plants, and pressure of fungus diseases in such condition is higher in comparison with balanced situation. High doses of nitrogen in the wheat stimulate such diseases as rust, Puccinia graminis, and oidium, Erysife graminis, and downy mildew to onion, for example, Peronospora destructor, or stimulate rust to garlic, Puccinia pori, etc., etc. If the ratio between nitrogen, phosphorus, and kalium is in balance, the plants are more resistant to insects and diseases. In misbalance of nutrients, insects and diseases pressure will be compensated with more chemical treatments, fact that increase the cost of plant protection and more pollution in environment. As we know, the barrel of Liebig argues give us a good example, the fact that all the macro and micro elements need to be in balance in quantity and in time in perfect way. If one of some elements are in shorter level, the water will run out from the barrel until the length of cutting tail. That means the production will be reduced until the level of shortest stave of barrels. We can see the barrels, Liebig barrels below. It is called minimum of Liebig. In order to reduce the influence of shorter stave of barrel, need a supplementary investigation, especially more additional inputs, more additional knowledge, more analysis to know the real situation of macro and micro elements in the soil, need more training in order to understand what's happened in our soil, what's happened in our nutrients in the soil. If we don't know this situation, is a little bit difficult to manage in the right way the health of the plants too. This is a well-known example of a law of minimum Liebig's barrel. As we see, many elements are in the soil, but some of them are in low level. And Liebig says the production will go down until the short stave. That means if we have many elements, but some of them less in the soil, it's impossible to compensate this kind of deficiency. Perhaps it's important to have such kind of harmonization of micro and micro elements in the soil. In this picture, we could illustrate what kind of symptoms express the plants in a deficiency of micro elements of macro elements. For example, we see here in the picture the with different color of the leaves, different symptoms of the leaves. This kind of guide help us to make the diagnostication of the plants, what kind of element lack, what kind of micro or micro element. This is not quite correct, perfect guide, or nevertheless is a very good orientation to find the solution. For example, we have the deficiency of boron. We have discoloration of leaves, buds, breaking and dropping of buds. Here the sulfur, leaves light green, vines pale green, no spots. Manganese, leaves pale in color, vines and venose dark green and reticulated. Zinc, leaves pale, narrow and short vines dark green, dark spots on the leaves and edge of the leaves. Magnesium, no spots around the edge of the leaves. The cup-shaped folds, leaves die the drop in extreme deficiencies. But if we have strong deficiencies, leaves die and drop in extreme deficiencies. Phosphorus, plant short and dark green. In extreme deficiencies, turn brown or black, bronze color under the leaves. Calcium, plants dark green, tender leaves pale, drying start from the tips, eventually leaves bugs die. Iron, leaves pale, no spots, major vines green. Copper, pale pink between the veins, wilt and dropped. Molybdenum, leaves light green, lemon, yellow orange, spots on the whole leaf except vines, sticky secretion from under the leaf. Potassium, small spots on the tips, age of pale leaves, spots turn rusty, folds at tips. Nitrogen, stunted growth, extremely pale color, upright leaves with a light green yellowish, upper burnt in extreme deficiency. As I mentioned before, this kind of symptoms are a good orientation in order to find what kind of supplementary macro elements or microelements need our plants. We have some other symptoms here. In the first picture we have the healthy corn plants. A deficiency of phosphate shortage marks leaves with a reddish purple, particularly in young plants. Potash deficiency appears as a fading or a drying along the tips and edge of the lowest leaves. Nitrogen, hunger signs is yellow that starts at the tip and moves along the middle of leaf. Magnesium, deficiency caused whitish strips along the vines and often a purple color on the underside of the leaves, lower leaves. In the corn, such kind of picture are clear, and we see very often in the cornfield such kind of symptoms. In many cases, such symptoms look like as symptoms of diseases or from climatic conditions. Majority of the farmers without so much experience, if they see such kind of symptoms, they think for virus diseases. Would be better, in such cases, to ask any experts or to take a sample for analysis in laboratory in order to take a competent answer and after that to make a professional fertilization. Normal water content in the soil and in the air and plant protection. Some insects and diseases prefer less humidity in the soil. Some of them, the sufficiency of the moisture creates the condition for development. Some insects prefer dry conditions. Some of them need high moisture in the soil and high humidity in the air. It is important to manage these elements in professional way according to biology of the parasites. There are many examples in the practice about health of the crops and deficiency of the moisture in the soil or humidity in the air. In organic vegetable under the protected areas in greenhouses, the high percentage of humidity in the air is very dangerous for such diseases as Phytophthora infestans, Botrytis cinerea, Cladosporium fulvum, etc. In stone fruits as peach, plum, cherry trees, the almond, planted in the hills without irrigation, the wood insect Capnodus tenebriones is very dangerous for such fruit trees, as dry matter has the trunk of the trees as much prefer Capnodus larvae. If we irrigate the soil, infection is avoided because as weaker is the tree with the sap, as much difficult has Capnodus larvae to feed. Normal value of pH for each plant has influence in plant health. The degree of acidity and alkalinity is measured on the scale from 0 to 14, with pH of 7 neutral, 0 to 6 is acid, and A2 14 is alkaline. The ideal soil pH for majority of the crops is pH with value 7. In high or in low level of pH in the soil, the plants have difficulty to uptake the nutrients from the soil. That means the farmers need to control the pH value of the soil from time to time because the water for irrigation, fertilizer system could change the pH value in the soil. Majority of the farmers underestimate the soil analysis for pH value level. Some symptoms of plants perhaps has the main problem pH value and not any diseases. The hygiene inside the parcel and outside the parcels, blocks of plantation, play an important role as a preventive control measure in plant protection. A hygienic environment inside and outside the parcels, inside and outside the greenhouses, have a very good positive impact as a preventive control measure to avoid the plant parasites. With hygiene, we understand clean environment from host plants for many insect pests and diseases, clean from crops residue during vegetation and after harvesting. Especially for host plants are important in greenhouses. Some insects as vegetable moth, Tuta absoluta, whitefly, Trialodus vaporiorum, aphids, thrips, spider mite, Estetanicus urtice, First infection came from host plants outside or inside the greenhouses. They passed to tomatoes, cucumber, eggplant, paprika, salad, etc. If we move such host plants from inside to outside and around the greenhouses, we have reduced the risk of infection from such insect pests. Such host plants are Canopodium album, Rumex acetosa, Datura stramonium, etc. Some examples from host plants for Tuta absoluta, Treolodes vaporiorum, and the Tetanicus urticae, and the thrips in vegetable. English name of weeds and Latin name. Amaranthus, Amaranthus retroflexus, is a very important host plant for many insects. Pigweed, Canopodium album. Meadow buttercup, Ranunculus acris. Jimson weed, Datura stramonium. As you know, only on one leaf of such plant we can count 100 whitefly adults and 1,000 eggs. According to the experience from some greenhouses, where are moved from there all such kind of host plants, chemical treatments are reduced from 50 to 80%. If the near apple and pear blocks has the bushes from hawthorn, Crataegus species, is a big potential for infection from fire blight, Erwinia amylovora. It is important to move this plant around the apple and pear blocks in order to avoid the potential infection from fire blight, Erwinia amylovora. If the near the pears trees block has many plants from Juniperus communis, this is a very good host plant from rust from pears. If you quite near the pears we have some plants from Juniperus communis, we always will have the rust of pear diseases. Here we have an example from Albania. In this greenhouse, in the beginning of conversion period, had a very heavy infection from whitefly Trilliarodes vaporiorum. We decide to clean environment inside and outside the greenhouses from host plants. And the next seasons, the situation was quite different, were clean. And we like to emphasize, to underline, this kind of practice is very simple, but has a very good impact in reduction of chemical control in all greenhouses. We make the same thing in another greenhouse, in another district. Here was a big infection from Tuta absoluta. As you see, in half of the greenhouses is planted with all plants, is paprika and tomatoes, and quite near in the end of July, are planted the new tomatoes plants. It's quite easy to move the insects from old plants to new plants. We decide to divide the plastic folia and to avoid the moving the insect. On the other hand, we have cleaned the greenhouses from host plants inside and outside. And the next season in these greenhouses, the situation is improved very much and is reduced 80% of insecticide. Those were conventional greenhouses, but the example was very interesting. It's the same greenhouses, but we see here the picture from outside. Everything is clean and the host plants are moved from there. Buffer zone as ecological compensation area held beneficial insects and pollinators. Buffer zone has some function as ecological compensation and as a hygienic belt. Buffer zone with different kinds of plants has flower for a long time. This is a good habitat for beneficial fauna. The beneficial insect communicate with parcels with crops according to real conditions. The organic agriculture standard asks for 7 to 10% of surface must be ecological compensation zone. Another role of buffer zone is a role of hygienic belt. Buffer zone is an area between conventional parcels and parcels managing in organic way. If around the organic plots has some conventional crops, it is need to have a working plan for managing of buffer zones. Buffer zone is an area that prevent the contact by prohibited substances of plant protection inputs or fertilizer to go to neighboring organic parcels. Buffer zone could be a natural fence with shrubs or bushes, or could plant it some forest plants, bamboo plants and another plants, in order to have a barrier between parcels with conventional crops and the parcels managed in organic way. The size of buffer zone, how long and how wide, could be according to the circumstances, according to the real conditions. In conventional program, is include the managing of buffer zone too. Buffer zone and ecological compensation area are part of organic standard. We see here some picture from buffer zones or ecological compensation. See here near the corn, we have belt here with spontaneous plants. Here stay the beneficial insect and pollinators and they move from the compensation zone to our parcel. We have another picture here. We see here how many beneficial insects visit spontaneous plants in buffer zones and the ecological compensation. Here we have a picture between the rows of the apple. We have here some those plants, and we find here many beneficial insects. Perhaps this is a role of buffer zone because such plants, beneficial insect and pollinator are as a feeding habitat. Perhaps are very important. Habitat is difficult to find in all crops. Here you see another picture. A beneficial insect and pollinator has visited hours of buffer zone and buffer zone. In order to stimulate the population of beneficious insects and pollinators, we can construct some simple things, so-called hotels of beneficial insects and pollinators. Especially this kind of these houses, this kind of small hotels, help very much the beneficial insect and pollinators during the winter because they need to find a right place in order to overwinter without problems. This kind of construction help us to stimulate the population of such beneficial insect. It's quite easy to construct, but impact in the environment is really good. If we have such kind of ecological compensation, a buffer zone, we have possibility to attract the birds. Birds are a very good element of our agroecosystem. They reduce very much the population of damaged insects. And we see this picture and we see the birds are working for us. The simple things stimulate to attract the birds to be as near our parcels, our crops as better. This is another example. So many birds around our parcels, so many beneficial insects are so. We can consider here a very dynamic situation around our parcels. This kind of dynamism is in our favor, is in favor of organic agriculture, is in favor of reduction of chemi or parcels, is in favor of using of non-chemical practices in organic agriculture. This is the last slide of presentation. I repeat you again, for non-chemical plant protection elements implemented in organic agriculture that we have discussed together in this presentation and in the last presentation too. In the first presentation we have discussed about selection of cultivation place, selection of cultivars, healthy seed and healthy seedlings free from diseases and insect pests. Today we have discussed about plant rotation, plant nutrition, hygiene of environment inside the parcels and outside the parcels. Biodiversity is a part of plant protection. Water for irrigation, insect pests and diseases. Buffer zone is a part of plant protection strategy in organic agriculture. Thank you very much for your attention and goodbye to the next lessons.